reports of a secret government-funded program focused on UFOs. This question, are we alone? It's a question a secret Pentagon program was investigating. Details on the multi-million-dollar operation focused on UFOs.
The Air Force formed Project Blue Book for three basic purposes. First, to determine that there was no threat to our national security. Second, to preclude technological surprise. And third, and probably most important, to prove the existence of UFOs.
That was a clip from the late 1970s TV show Project Blue Book, based on an Air Force program that investigated UFO sightings. Project Blue Book ended in 1969. 4 decades later, we're learning about another government program that remained largely a secret. According to the New York Times, the program produced documents that described sightings of aircraft that seemed to move at very high velocities with no visible signs of propulsion, or that hovered with no apparent means of lift. Joining me now is Leslie Kean, one of the co-writers of that New York Times article and author of UFOs, Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on the Record. Leslie, we appreciate you being here to talk to us about this. What more can you tell us about this Pentagon program? What did it find?
Well, the program has been in operation since 2007, and it's been secret until now. And it studied about 10 to 12 different incidences a year that involved military aircraft encountering these objects that can't be explained. And basically, they characterize them as the way you did. They're objects that they can't explain how they move incredibly fast. They'll hover and take a sudden right-angle turn, incredible velocities that we could never withstand if any living creature was in them. So they observe behaviors that seem to be technology that we don't have on this planet. I mean, that's what we're stuck with.
And so there was a pretty sizable budget for this program. What did they find?
Well, I mean, basically what they did with that budget is a lot of different research to try to document what was going on, to try to understand the physics behind how the objects, you know, move around, and then to just keep records of what they were observing. But they haven't been able to find what they are, where they're from, or anything like that. It's a process of investigating incidences and then trying to collect as much data as you can.
So who was behind securing the funding for the Pentagon to be able to do this sort of work? And I guess what was the logic behind it? What were they hoping to accomplish with this?
Well, I mean, Senator Harry Reid was behind the funding. He with a couple of colleagues, Senator Inouye and Senator Stevens, in 2007, 2009, he was able to get funding appropriated for the program, and it ended up being about $22 million, and they had contractors that helped do the research.
But this was kept a secret. I mean, nobody knew about this.
It was kept a secret.
Why?
And nobody even knew that the program existed. And in fact, lots of people in the Pentagon don't even know it exists. So it's barely been kept quiet because the information is very, very sensitive. And they felt that, you know, there's also other countries that might be working on the same thing. So there's a sense of wanting to keep this information to ourselves. But a lot of people believe that it should be made public, and that's what we're dealing with right now.
Now, there are a lot of people out there who say that this might be a waste of taxpayer dollars to be searching for UFOs and investigating aliens and that sort of thing. What have people said, people you've talked to, what have they said about that?
Everybody has different opinions, and it's not about investigating aliens. It's just about investigating a documented phenomenon that has been observed, that has been seen on videos, and trying to figure out what it is. That's basically what it is. Nobody's claiming that they're aliens or that they're extraterrestrials. So here we're dealing with something that could be potential threat because it's a technological craft that we don't understand, and we don't know where it comes from and how it does what it does. That's the reason to study it.
All right, it's an interesting read. I read your article, and it sort of raises some questions and answers a few others, and then raises some more. But
it raises a lot of questions, and there's a lot we don't know. That's the whole point.
Indeed.
So.
All right. Leslie Kean, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Welcome back, everybody. Our final story today, it's a little out there, and I do mean out there. The New York Times breaking the news that the Pentagon has been secretly researching the possible existence of UFOs. Apparently, the Department of Defense launched the program in cooperation with former Senator Harry Reid in 2007, and it spent $22 million each year searching for unidentified flying objects until the program was shuttered back in 2012. Joining us now to talk more about this, one of the authors of yesterday's fascinating New York Times article, journalist Ralph Blumenthal. Ralph, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Talk to me about the research that went into this article.
Okay, first of all, it was not $22 million a year. It was $22 million total, which is really a drop in the bucket of the Pentagon budget. But it went for research into these objects, and no one knows what they are to this day, that have been seen by Navy planes. They've engaged with them. They've been reported by witnesses. But beyond that, we really don't know much. And the research went into trying to identify their strange means of propulsion, their phenomenal aerodynamics, which represent nothing on the face of this earth by any country. And the research, even though the program was officially, it ran out of money in 2012, it really has continued, we found out.
So what's been going on? Why have they not publicized the fact that it has continued?
Well, it's a controversial program. A lot of people, there's a ridicule factor. A lot of people are afraid of, the people would make fun of the government spending this money, as has already happened in other media.
But there's also a lot of fascination.
There is fascination. This is probably the most watched and looked at story the New York Times has run in a long time, because people are fascinated by the subject.
Yeah, so what are they finding? Have they found anything so far?
Well, they have confirmed, in effect, for the first time, that these things exist according to what the program said, that they have established a kind of reality to these objects that didn't exist before, that the government was standing behind, or at least this unit of the Pentagon. They have, as we reported in the paper, some material from these objects that is being studied so that scientists can try to figure out what accounts for their amazing properties, this technology, these objects, whatever they are. So they have made some progress.
What type of material?
They don't know. They're studying it, but it's some kind of compound that they don't recognize.
So a lot of questions still. Not a lot of answers.
More questions than answers.
As we always have with UFOs.
Progress.
Yeah, but it really is fascinating stuff. Despite the fact that there is ridicule that comes along with
it'll take some attention away from the day-to-day.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way.
I'd like a little respite, wouldn't you?
We could use it.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about UFOs a little bit more these days, I gotta say.
It's a fascinating subject.
Yeah, it certainly is. All right, Ralph Blumenthal, I wish I had more time with you, but we have run out of time. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.